Welcome back. We hear about how this current economic crisis is the worst since the Great Depression. With that in mind, we thought we'd head to a part of the country that was synonymous with the turmoil of the 1930s, California's Central Valley. It was here that hungry migrants, like the Okies in John Steinbeck's classic novel, The Grapes of Wrath, came looking for jobs. Many who worked in the fields in the 1930s started up the ladder of prosperity. Central California is known as America's salad and fruit bowl because the rich 25% of this country's fruits and vegetables. In the economic boom times of recent years, it was not uncommon for field workers to move on to higher paying and more stable jobs, their first glimpse of a middle-class life. But when we went there today, we found a much darker picture. It's broccoli harvesting time in the fields around the town of Huron, California. Part of a cycle of farming that has been going on here for generations. The green fields speak of abundance. Hard times in the Central Valley. Construction jobs have dried up, businesses have shuttered, and so people have flocked back to the fields, taking refuge in what they thought was the one sure thing in Central California, agriculture work.
There's a very high possibility your tomatoes, your onions, your green onions, your watermelon, your tremendous variety of plants and produce come from this area. ¿Qué onda?
Frank Steenport is the police chief in Huron, California. He takes pride in his town and its long-standing identity as a hub for agriculture. A cornucopia is even on the city's seal, which Chief Steenport designed.
Huron has been around for quite a while. It was settled in the late 1800s. Most of the cities in this valley were laid out along railroad tracks, and then when the aqueduct was built and everything could become irrigated, this is the center.
Agriculture meant work, the kind that got people started on the American dream. It was a beacon for immigrants from other parts of the country, from overseas, and these days mainly from Latin America. Many are here legally, many are not. All were needed to work the fields.
Our resident population is 7,500 people. It will double to 14, sometimes 16,000 people here. That many people will come in here. It'll look like LAX, because these folks are coming in here because the work is here.
But as desperate, newly unemployed residents try to find a foothold back at the bottom of the ladder, they're finding these jobs too are drying up, literally. That's because America's salad bowl is dependent, like everything else in California, on water. And to protect an endangered species hundreds of miles away, Huron's spigot has been turned off. Many there think this could be the end of a way of life and a distinctly American landscape. So with plunging tax revenues, Chief Steenport has taken on many jobs to keep the town running.
I am the Chief of Police of the City of Huron. I am also acting city manager at this time, and I am also acting Public Works Director, and I also have oversight over the Finance Department. And that's about it right now.
Chief Steenport has been everything from a small-town police lieutenant to a SWAT team agent in the concrete jungles of Southern California.
Good morning, boys and girls.
He took the chance to be a big fish in a small pond in hopes of turning a dusty, dangerous farm worker transit point into a greener, safer place to settle. But as local businesses begin to fail because of the economy and the water crisis, and tax revenues plummet, Chief Steenport's not only taking on 4 jobs within the city government, he's also economizing wherever he can to prepare for the even leaner times ahead.
We don't even have janitors. My policemen got to take turns, myself included. We mop, we clean windows, we take out the trash. When the toilet breaks, I pick up the plunger because nobody's above working. And I lose sleep at night, especially since all this has started. You know, don't go backwards. We've worked so hard to reduce crime.
Every day, Chief Steenport goes out and greets people out on Huron's main drag.
Buenos días. ¿Qué onda?
He's been doing it since he came to town 3 years ago.
¿No trabajo?
But these days, the town is crowded with loiterers, attracted by the promise of work in the fields and bitterly disappointed.
All these guys over here, normally they'd be working, just hanging out, and unfortunately, sooner or later, they're going to get in trouble. As the unemployment rises, we have more and more people loitering and drinking and getting into trouble. So we have to kind of stay on top of it and work with the folks.
When the construction jobs, the home building, these other jobs have dried up, some of them want to return back to ag-related business, things that they grew up in and said, you know, I'm not making enough or it's not dependable enough. And now they're looking at going back because there's nothing else. But I've never seen such a perfect storm, so to speak, of bad financial situations that have led to what we're at in general, and thousands of acres are going to lie fallow that normally would be producing crops and cattle and the clothes on your back because there's no water.